Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm John, and in today's video we're going to continue working on the Pokedex that we started building in the last video. So if you haven't seen that video yet, go ahead, check it out, go through part 1, and you'll be able to get to this that you can see here on the left. So in this simulator, this is where we left off in the last video, where you can get this full list of Pokemon, get their name, type. We made a custom little view to just kind of show a color for their type, an image, and we did that in two ways. We did that with async image, and then we also used Kingfisher through the Swift package manager, and then showing a description. But right now, you can't click on a cell to see more details. You can't search for Pokemon, and you can't make a favorite. So if you look at the other simulator that I have up here, you can see we're going to do all of those things in this video. So you can see this little disclosure indicator. When you click on the cell, you get more information about the Pokemon, still have its image, type, its name, but now we're going to get the full description as well as this stats view that we're going to build out. The next thing I mentioned, you can do search. So click in the search bar, you can just search Charmander, it'll filter the list for you. You can clear that out. And finally, we're going to implement swipe actions so that you can actually favorite your Pokemon. So simply swipe, click, you can see a favorite, and when we come back to the detail, we're now going to add in that this Pokemon was listed as a favorite. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to do is update the data model that we used in the last video. So currently we have this as Pokemon model in content view. Let's jump into that over here in Pokemon model. You can see we're going to add a few things to our Pokemon struct to get it working how I demonstrated before. So first thing we're going to do is add an isFavorite. So var isFavorite, and we're going to make this equal to false. And this isn't going to be decoded. It's not currently in our data that we're using from the API, so no need to add it to the coding keys. What we are going to add, though, were those stats that I showed you in the detail view. So we're going to need the attack, the defense, the height, and the weight. Now, all four of these are coming directly from the API that we used in the last video. So we're going to add that to our coding keys. So we'll do case attack, case defense, case height, and case weight. Now, if this doesn't make sense, if you don't know what coding keys are or why we added them here, be sure to go back and watch that first video so you can understand why this is set up the way that it is and why I've added this to our coding keys. The next thing I want to do is actually update our Pokemon model. So first things first, I want to rename this. So we can hit Command and click and hit rename. I'm going to make this more representative of what it actually is. So we'll actually call it a Pokemon view model. And if you hit the plus here, it'll actually update the comment. And it's also going to update the overall file name. So you can see we now have Pokemon view model. The next thing I want to do, as we're going through and we start building some of those new views, we're going to need a Pokemon that is going to work in our previews. So let's go ahead and create a mock Pokemon. And I'm going to copy this in. I'll be sure to leave this code in the description of the video, so you don't have to watch me type this all out. But we're going to say within our Pokemon view model, we are going to make a mock Pokemon. So quickly you can see it's of type Pokemon, has an ID of 0. I named it Bulbasaur. This is the image URL, type, description, and then the 4 new properties that we added: attack, defense, height, and weight. So with that added, there is also some other changes that I want to make to the Pokemon view model. I want to first of all make this an observable object. and I'm going to give it a published property of Pokemon. So if you remember when we worked on this before, we were just using this state property for Pokemon, and we were storing it that way on the appearance of our navigation view. We were calling the get Pokemon, and we were just setting the results of that equal to Pokemon. We're going to change that up a little bit, and we're going to use a published property within our Pokemon view model, and also have a custom initializer within this class so that we can just call it when it gets initialized and actually get the Pokemon here. So first, at published var Pokemon is of type Pokemon, and right now that's just empty. And here we're going to create our custom initializer. So init, when this gets initialized, we're going to do Pokemon equal to try await. So very similar to what we did before. And we'll get our Pokemon. So with those changes, those are the updates that I wanted to make to our view model. So let's go ahead and make our detail view. So let's go ahead, hit Command N, and you'll create a new file. So again, we have this window that comes up. We're going to use a SwiftUI view. Hit Next. And rather than building out the detail view to start, how about we break it down piece by piece? So the first thing I want to do is do the image, the Pokemon image. So let's call this Pokemon image. Hit create. And if you remember on the simulators, so if we went into the detail view, this is the view that we're going to make right now. So this custom image, it has this border, has the drop shadow, as well as the image inside of it. So what we're going to do for Pokemon image is we're going to use Kingfisher again. So import Kingfisher. And let's start making our image. So we'll use a property, var image, and it's going to be of type kf image. And within the body, we'll do image dot resizable dot scaled to fill on this one. Then we'll give it a frame with a width of 200 and a height of 200. Feel free to play around with these values as much as you want. These were just the ones that I thought looked good. Next, we'll give it a clip shape, and it'll be circle. And we'll do an overlay, and within the overlay, it'll be a circle with a stroke of white and a line width of 5. Again, you can play around with these values, make them larger, smaller, whatever you think looks nice. Then we'll give it a background, and in the background will be a circle with a foreground color of white. And lastly, we'll give it a shadow with radius 5. And you can see here, it's getting upset at us, so missing argument for parameter image. So we'll have to fix that. And this is where we are going to start using our mock Pokemon that we created. So here we'll do kf image from a URL, and the string that we're going to use is our Pokemon view model dot mock Pokemon dot image URL. So hit save, and then we can bring up the canvas. And once this loads, you can actually see, might not be cooperating here, but I'll try and get it to run. And you can actually see once this finishes running, you'll get that circular picture that we had before. So now you can see it's loaded and we have our picture. So again, feel free to change anything about this. If you want to have a less of a shadow, thinner border, bigger border, whatever you want to do, go ahead and feel free to make those changes. The next thing I want to work on is the stat view. So again, if we go back to the simulators, this whole thing is grouped together of 4 individual, what I've called stat views, and this overall group is a stats view. So let's go ahead and build both those out. So Command N, new SwiftUI view, call it a stat view, hit create, and let's start adding the properties we're going to need. So we'll need a Pokemon, I'll type Pokemon, we'll give it a stat name, we'll type string, the color of the stat, and let's make that of type color, and the actual value of the stat. So this is going to come directly, if we go back to our view model real quick, the stat value is going to come directly from attack, defense, height, or weight. So we can just use an int value for those. So back in stat view, let's start laying this out. So let's do an h stack with a text of stat name, and I'll give it a font of .system, body, design, and we're going to make this one monospaced. And the reason we do that is that so all of the letters have equal spacing, so it's not going to shift any of the bars when we actually group them all together. That'll make more sense once we actually come up with our stats view group. Next, we'll do a z-stack with an alignment of leading. And within that z-stack, we'll have a rounded rectangle, corner radius 5, with a foreground color of gray, and a frame with a width of 150 and a height of 20. Scroll down a little bit. Next, we'll have another rounded rectangle. So now we're actually going to be building out the bars themselves. Again, corner radius 5. And the foreground color, this is where we're going to use our stat color. And we'll give it a frame width of our stat value. And here we're going to use a condition. So if the stat value is less than 100, use the full width of the bar times CG float of the stat value divided by 100. And if it's greater than 100, let's just use the full width and 20. So going over this a little bit, on width, we're going to use our stat value and we're going to do a check here. So if you haven't seen this before, this is the ternary operator. So basically you're going to do a condition. So you can think of it like an if statement. If this condition is true, use this first part up until the colon. If it's false, use the value that's after the colon. So what we're saying here, if the stat value is less than 100, then take the width of the bar, the full bar, which is this 150 that we declared up here, and then multiply that by the stat value divided by 100. Otherwise, if it's greater than 100, just make it the full width. And then outside of the z-stack, we'll do a text, and we'll use stat value with a font, system, body, with a monospaced. Now let's fix this error. So it's saying missing arguments for parameter, Pokemon. So let's fix all of this. So Pokemon, again, Pokemon view model dot mock Pokemon. That'll be our Pokemon. Stat name, we'll call it, say, ATK for attack. Stat color, let's give it blue, and a value of 55 for now. So if you want to hit Command Option P, you can get your preview to run again. So this will spin, and you can see, there you go. We have our bar. So we have our stat value, so the attack. We have our two rounded rectangles. So this first one, this is the background. So the gray, the full bar. And then this second one is the blue bar. So what's actually filling up from the bar. And just to show you the test, if we were to do 100, you can see it takes up the full bar. And then if we were to do 1,000, still take up the full bar and obviously show what the value is. Now, if you want to change that, if there's something different you want to use, say instead of divided by 100, say you want to divide it by 1,000 or 2,000, go for it. Totally up to you. You can make those changes. Now that we have an individual stat view working, let's get our big stat view group. So we'll do Command N, another SwiftUI view, and we'll call this one stats. We'll call it stats view group. Great. And here we're going to put together a number of our stat views. So let's first get a Pokemon. Our Pokemon. And now we will do a Z-stack with a rectangle frame with a width of 300 and a height of 250. A foreground color of white, an opacity 0.6, and a corner radius of 20. So this is going to be the background where all of those stat bars are going to show up. So if you remember here in the simulator, this is what this box is going to be. So slightly opaque so that you can actually see a bit of the color come through on there. Next, let's add in our stat views. So we'll do a VStack, alignment of leading with a spacing of 30, and we'll do stat view, and we'll have Pokemon. The stat name will be attack for this first one. We'll make it blue, and the stat value is going to be Pokemon.attack. Now, I don't want to type all that out again multiple times, so I'm just going to copy and paste this 3 times and just change a few things up. So instead of attack, we have defense. We'll change it from blue to red, and then we'll do Pokemon.defense. Next, it will be height. Height will be teal, and height. And then finally, we'll have weight. So we'll make weight cyan, and then weight. So again, to fix our preview, we just need a Pokemon. So fix, we'll do Pokemon view model dot mock Pokemon. And again, Option Command P, we'll get our preview running, and there you go. We now have our stats view group. Now, obviously you can't see the background because it's on white, but we have our 4 bars. They're separated nicely, and all of these are lining up. So just to show you what I was talking about before, if we go back into stat view and we get rid of this monospaced, if we try it out, if we go back into stat view group and run the preview, you can see the W takes up a little more space. So now we're getting an offset bar, and it just doesn't look as clean. So this is pushed further over. Overall, it doesn't have as nice a feel to it. So that's why we use the monospaced. And now that we have our stat view and the stat view group working, let's go ahead and actually build out our detail view. So we'll do, again, Command N, a new SwiftUI view, and this is Pokemon detail view. Create. And for this, we'll be passing a Pokemon. So type Pokemon. And here we're also going to do a bit of an animation. So some of the information is going to kind of spring in, pop in. And for that, we're going to use a state variable. So state private var scale of type CG float, and initially that's going to be 0. We'll implement the animation last, so don't worry too much about that for right now. But let's get started. So we're going to use a geometry reader. This is going to give us the ability to get the width and height of the screen. So if you haven't worked with it before, I'll show you. It's pretty simple. So we're going to use geo in, and we will do a vstack with text Pokemon.name.capitalized, and then font.large title, and we'll do text Pokemon.type.capitalized with italic and a foreground color of the Pokemon.type color. Now, let's go ahead and kind of look at what this is looking like. So let's go ahead and fix this. Just need a Pokemon. So Pokemon view model. If it didn't make sense before why we added the mock Pokemon, I hope it's starting to make a little bit more sense. We've used it now 3 times. So this is just a way to kind of save you the time if you want to work with previews as you go. So you can see we got the name, we got the type, and it has the color that we used from our type color computer property that we made in the last video. So if we keep going, now let's get the image. So we're going to do Pokemon image, the struct we just created of image, which will be a kf image from a URL string Pokemon dot image URL, and we will give that padding bottom, and we're going to shift it, and then we will give it a z index of 1. So this is basically the layout priority when you are using a vstack. This is the thing that is going to show up first. So let's see, cannot find kf image in scope. Simply to fix that, just import Kingfisher, hit save, and now this should clear up. Next, we are going to do a z-stack. So within our vstack, we have a z-stack, rectangle, edges, ignoring the safe area for all, frame, and here we're going to use width. And this is where our geometry reader is going to come in. So geo.size.width, and then height, we're going to use geo.size.height. So basically take up the whole screen, and a foreground color of Pokemon.type color. So this is going to be the background color. So if we look on our simulator, for this example, this is going to be the green. So it'll take up full height and width, and we're just going to shift it down so we kind of have an offset, get a little bit of the white. Next, let's do our vstack. And here we're going to have a condition. So remember when I had this favorite, this shows up, but if you select something that isn't favorited, it's not going to show up. So again, we're going to use a condition, and we'll do if Pokemon.isFavorite. We'll do a label of favorite with a system image of star.fill. System image coming from SF Symbols. If you don't have that downloaded, highly recommend you get it, and you can actually check out a whole bunch of different symbols that Apple gives us for free. Foreground color, Pokemon.type color, give it padding of 5, and background of a capsule with a foreground color of white. Okay. So in our vstack, outside of the if, now we'll do the description of the Pokemon. So Pokemon.description. And here, how it's formatted. So if we go ahead and just run this as is. So now I'm using my mock Pokemon example, but in the real data, there's a number of line breaks that make it where in the middle of a sentence, it will just jump to a new line. So the way we can get rid of things like that is with replacing occurrences. So on Pokemon.description, we're going to do replacing occurrences of with, and we're going to use \n with just an empty space. Foreground color .white and some padding. So when this updates, now you can see the text has some more space around it, and now it's white, so it stands out a little better. All right, and finally, we are going to add our stats view group for the Pokemon. And now you can see, just like that, we did all the work beforehand, and now this is a pretty simple use at the call site. So just call stats view group, pass in the Pokemon, we get all the stats for our Pokemon. Now, the next thing I want to do, since this is going to be part of a navigation, we're going to have this here on VStack. So I believe it's this brace here. We're going to do a navigation bar title display mode, and we're going to have this display inline so that we're not going to have kind of a big bar when we go from screen to screen. So let's go ahead and try this. Let's go ahead and test it. I'll move the Pokemon detail view file up here, go over to content view, and let's actually try passing this in. So what I want to do is first we need to change a couple things. So we have our Pokemon model. It's a Pokemon view model, but now since we made our Pokemon view model an observable object, now I want this to be observed here in content view. So let's do observed object, and we'll change it from Pokemon model. Let's right click, go to refactor and rename. Instead of Pokemon model, we're going to call this Pokemon VM, short for view model. And we're going to get rid of this Pokemon because we no longer need it. We'll be accessing it from our view model. So if we get rid of that, we should start to see some errors coming up, which is good. So we can use Pokemon VM.Pokemon to get our Pokemon. And we no longer need this on appear, because if you remember back in our Pokemon view model, we made our own initializer to set the Pokemon when this view model is initialized. So if we go back to content view, we can get rid of this. And that should be it. This should be able to run, and we should still have kind of the results that we were having before. So if we tried testing it here in previews, there you go. So change the code up a bit, but we still have it functioning as it was before. So that's great. Now let's go ahead and try getting a navigation link and actually navigating to the screen just to kind of test. So the first thing I want to do is add it here. We'll do navigation link. I'll pause this because it's making my computer a little slow. Navigation link with a destination of the Pokemon detail view, and that needs a Pokemon. And everything in here, everything inside of our H stack, if you highlight all of this and then hold Option Command and then use the left bracket, you can move it in like that. And let's just see if this is working. So if I run on the simulator, building Now you see we have this little disclosure icon, and when we click, look at that. We're actually getting Bulbasaur with the description from before. So Venusaur, and we're getting their stats, picture, name, type, everything. So that looks like it's working pretty well. So with that working, the next thing I want to do is implement the search functionality. So we can do, in order to do that, it's a modifier called Searchable, and we're going to give it a state property here of search text. And this is the text that's going to be used when we're actually in our search bar. And the way we do this, if we come down here, we have right underneath our navigation title, we're going to do dot searchable, and we'll just give it a text of search text. So now to implement that, we actually need to we need to filter our list of Pokemon. So let's create another property. We'll call it filtered Pokemon. And that'll be an array of Pokemon. And we'll do if search text is blank. So if nothing's been entered in the search bar, just return all the Pokemon. So Pokemon VM.Pokemon. If that's not the case, we'll be able to return Pokemon VM.Pokemon. And here we're going to filter. So if you haven't used filter before, we're basically just going to try and satisfy a condition for things in Pokemon. And if it matches that, return that. Otherwise, get rid of it. So in our case, we'll use filter $0. This is just a shorthand. So $0.name. So we're looking at each individual Pokemon. If it's name, lowercase, because we don't care, it's case insensitive when we're doing a search. Dot contains search text dot lowercase. If our Pokemon name has the characters that were entered in our search text, just return those Pokemon. So let's go ahead and try it. Oh, let's not try it yet. So filtered Pokemon, we created our property. Now we actually need to use it. So in our list, and actually I think I'm going to change this. Instead of a list, let's make a list out here and switch this to a for each. So for each, and then again, bring all of this bring all these up one level. Now we have our list. And the way you can get the spacing corrected if it was a little off like it was for me, simply hold Control and press the I key. But now you can see we have that. And for each, we'll replace our Pokemon VM.Pokemon with filtered Pokemon. So let's go ahead and run this. And I'll run it in the simulator. And we can see that when it loads, we now have a search bar. So if we click into the search bar, I'll search for Zapdos. So I typed in ZAP, and now you can see it's filtering the list for Pokemon that have a name that matches with those characters. So a little less specific, Charizard, Alakazam, Zapdos, anything with a Z, you can see we're getting our list back. And that's filtering, all done. Next, let's add our swipe action. So to do that, we'll come down here and it will be on this. We can say swipe actions, and we'll use the edge allows full swipe and content. On the edge, we'll do trailing, allows full swipe will be false, and then content, we'll just hit enter, and we get this trailing closure. And here we're going to have a button. So we'll do button with action. We haven't created this action yet, but we will in a minute. So add favorite Pokemon, and it'll be the Poke. And we will do an open bracket to use an image, system named star, and we will give this a tint. So add favorite isn't there yet. Let's see if I got all these braces correct. So we have one. I think this needs a brace. So that, I think I got an extra. And on Poke, we'll close it out here. And then we'll do tint of yellow. And now let's do the add favorite method. So we'll come down here, right before the closing bracket, func add favorite Pokemon, which will be of type Pokemon. And here we're just going to get the index in our for each and assign it. If it is swiped on that index, you want it to be a favorite, set it to favorite, otherwise don't do anything. So if let index equals Pokemon VM dot Pokemon dot first index, where the ID is equal to the Pokemon ID, then Pokemon VM dot Pokemon at that index. Now we will set the as favorite. We will toggle it. Okay, if we hit build. So can't find Poke in scope, so this might be one level up. So if we build, let's see, and if we run on the simulator, now when we swipe, all right, so that was a click. If we swipe, we can see we're getting our button showing up. We hit favorite, but we're not getting a star, so we haven't added that in. Let's go ahead and add that in to our is favorite. So we want that to be in line with the name. So here in this hstack, vstack, we have the name capitalized, and we'll have a condition here right before hstack. So if poke.is favorite, then we'll do image system name of the star.fill, and we'll do a foreground color of dot yellow. So if we run it again, now when we swipe, we'll hit the button, we see the favorite. So that's not quite where I want it to be. We need to have an H stack. So within our VStack, let's go ahead and click on the text, hit Command, and we'll do embed in an H stack. And then we'll take this whole block here, move it into our H stack. Now let's try that one more time. So we'll run. And then we will swipe, hit a favorite, and there you go. We got the star showing up. If we click, now we can see favorite is being shown right there. So we can keep doing that, just kind of keep checking, see what things look like. And it's looking pretty good. I think there's a bit of a spacing kind of issue that we're having that we can kind of look at, but for the most part, that really does it. We have now implemented our search functionality, so you can see if you just want Venusaur, you can just type it out, can click, can actually see. And let's go ahead and fix some of the spacing. issues that we're seeing here. We might just need to push it up a little bit, as well as add in that animation. So like on our other one, when we click in, you can see the information kind of pop into place. So if we go back into our Pokemon detail view, let's go ahead and add that animation. So right here towards the end, we're going to add the animation to this VStack. And what I'm going to do, you can use this in other places. If you want the image to do the animation that we're going to do, you can simply add it there. But feel free to use this however you want. If you don't like animations, don't even worry if you don't want to use it. But first we'll do an offset. So we'll actually move that up a little bit. So you might have noticed it was kind of crowding the bottom. We'll just move that group up a little higher. And then we'll use a scale effect. And remember that scale property that we created before. So up here, now this is where we're going to use it. Scale effect. And then on appear, we are going to get a base animation, set that equal to animation.spring. And in the spring, we're just going to use the damping fraction. I'm going to set it to 0.5. And we'll do let repeated equal the base animation dot repeat count. And we'll just do it once. Feel free to do it more. And now we'll do with animation. We will just do scale equal to 1 and repeated. So now if we run this one more time, we can click in once this loads. All right, we can click into Venusaur, and there you go. We get our little bounce. Only does it once. And let's see if we favorite something. So click on Ivysaur again. And look at that, we're bouncing that whole group. Looks a little better, it's moved up from the bottom. But that does it. You've now got your full Pokedex, so you're able to search through different Pokemon, add it to favorites, and then actually see the different stats that are associated with that Pokemon, get more information. So thanks everybody for watching. If you liked the video, please leave it a like and be sure to subscribe. I put out videos every week. Thanks everybody, catch you in the next one.